Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, guten Tag, wherever you might be. This is the Fireside Chat number 58 with our special guest, Jeff Holiday.
Hello, 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 everybody. How you doing out there?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm pretty good, pretty good. I'm feeling pretty well, feeling pretty peppy,
All
in a good
right.
mood.
Nice. And I see that our chat is excited. There's a lot
Got
of buzz going on. So I'm going to be looking out for you guys. You might notice, for those of you who are watching the stream, there is a word balloon over my head that is currently empty. Well, if you want to put words in my mouth, what you should do is either become a patron or put in something into the super chat, and the Doge will give you a shout out, and I will also vocalize it myself. So you're gonna get double shout outs in the cartoon world and in the real world. So let's go ahead and get into the interview. It's not really an interview. It's just just shooting the shit kind of thing.
Shooting the shit,
We're introducing people to other people that make content online, whether they, agree with us, disagree with us, fall somewhere in between, whatever.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you though, why
Yes.
did you start making videos? This is always I ask everybody this question.
Ooh.
I get different answers, but why did you say, you know what, I want to start doing stuff on YouTube? What made you want to do that?
The reason I started actually is really it's actually because of laziness. I was involved really heavily with science and skepticism on Facebook, like a whole lot, mostly because of like anti-GMO, anti-vaccine people. And I got really fucking tired of having to type out the same old fucking thing every single time. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make a video and upload it and basically be like, this is why you're stupid, this is why you're wrong, this is my information, this is my evidence, and like full citations and everything. And that way, if I had to say, the same old thing, I'd just be like, here, go watch this. I can't fuck with this anymore. So it was all
Right.
laziness.
How do you think your content has changed?
I think a lot of it, I think YouTube in and of itself changed a lot. It sounds like kind of a rote answer, but I think Gamergate had a lot to do with it. But that wasn't the thing that changed for me. What changed for me was that a lot of these channels that started popping up and these personalities happened because of Gamergate. I started paying attention to them, and it was specifically Kevin Logan trying to take the piss out of Shoe on Head, and I was a huge Shoe on Head fan. Which compelled me to like
very interesting. That's my Kevin Logan impression. Um,
this silly boxy wannabe, and I decided to white knight, and that got me into the shit flinging part of YouTube, which is fun.
mm-hmm.
A lot of fun.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, that evolved too. Like the past few months, a lot of it seemed to be kind of. It's just kind of it's kind of overdone a little bit now. So I'm trying to diversify and do different, interesting, fun things, and get more active into like trying to make a change about stuff.
I like to see what people have to say, whether I agree with them or disagree with them, or even if
Absolutely.
I think they're batshit insane. I want to hear the best arguments. That's actually one of the reasons why I ended up here on HBR, is because I'm a guy looking for looking to get to the truth, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know what you would call that. So I wanted to ask you just what your opinion is, okay? What's the difference between a skeptic, an anti-SJW, and a men's rights activist?
Shit. Wow, that's an interesting one. Like all these types of labels are really subjective ultimately. If you break down the basic function of what most of these labels are supposed to mean, they all fundamentally agree on the basic ideas that build up Western morality. Like everybody believes in like 95% of the same amount of shit. We all believe the same things. It's the minutia that really matters in how people want to define, how they collectively start to gather, and how they want to then have a platform to build off of. I think that anti-SJW is just it's more like it's more like buzz slang for a pejorative slang that was thrown out there. And you have these labels like shitlord, for instance, and it'll mean a pejorative to one person, for another it's a label to brand as defiance.
It's like being my nigga versus the other thing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think, and I hate the label skeptic. I've always loathed the label skeptic, because it's like, skepticism is a tool. Skepticism is like a method.
No, it's not. It's a superpower that only a few of us are gifted with the power of skepticism. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's a secret cabal that organizes the resistance against the status quo or some shit. But you know, men's rights activist is another one that's very subjective. But I feel like when people decide to take on the term men's rights activist, it's because they're explicitly stating that that's going to be their first priority. Like that is what they are prioritizing. It's the same thing with like feminists. There are plenty of feminists I know who actually really care about men's issues, but they identify as a feminist because they care about women's issues first, and then men's issues afterwards. So I think that's really like the basic structure behind it. I think a lot of people these days, especially over the past like year and a half, 2 years, have taken the idea of a nickname and how some people choose to have a nickname to basically identify parts of their personality, and they want people to respect that. Well, there's really no difference between that and some of the really preposterous pronouns that people will create, like the really preposterous ones out there. And to me, when somebody is like, actually my pronoun is Zir, I don't know if everybody's seen the new Guardians movie, but to me, all I hear is, my name is Taserface.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly right. Taserface, right.
Okay. Okay, Taserface.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of MRAs, did you happen to see Cassie J's film, The Red Pill?
I did, and I loved it. And I think Karen and Allison and everybody was wonderful in it. Absolutely wonderful.
And was there anything about the movie that you didn't know, that you were made aware of, or did you pretty much know everything that it was about?
I was pretty up on most of it. I mean, before I pretty much tossed away using any labels on myself, I would have identified myself as quite a bit of an MRA myself. Like, I've done charity work to try and help a guy with some legal fees for a custody case and that sort of thing. I'm pretty well versed in it. It's mostly just, a lot of it was the stories that completely blew me away. Some of the statistics were a lot worse than I was aware of. And that was pretty startling to me. Like
which ones? Like the a lot of people are surprised by the domestic violence one. That was one that.
I was not surprised about the domestic violence one. I've been I hate using either term, either survivor or victim. I was immersed in some very, very nasty domestic violence that was enacted upon me at one point. So I wasn't surprised about
You were entrenched.
I was entrenched. Yeah. Oh my God. No, I was entrenched. I was very invested, trying to keep a very self-destructive person from hurting herself, to the point that I just got hurt a lot, that kind of thing.
What are your thoughts on MRAs? Be honest. Be brutal if you want.
Oh, no. And I honestly, the most brutal criticism I can give about the men's rights movement is not... The thing is, the biggest problem with the men's rights movement is that it has a lack of good press. And that's one of the reasons why I was really happy about the Red Pill documentary, because it has the ability to very widely restructure how people assume what the men's rights movement is all about. Far too often, people are just going to take the first impression. That first impression is filtered through a more socially progressive, quote unquote, usually very feminist media presence, and it's very easy for it to be quickly demonized. My biggest criticism I have had in the past, I'm a lot warmer to him and his words now, but I had very strong criticisms of Paul Elam. And it wasn't because I know how to read a controversial article, and I know how to discern like what the actual message is and to not act emotionally, but I don't think most people are. And Paul has really good points, and I felt like he used such incendiary rhetoric. I'm like, oh, you're hurting the message. But I also know why he does it, and I respect the man quite a bit for it. But I think it's just bad press. It's bad. Yeah.
His approach is certainly it's about like trying to get attention, to get eyes on him, and as to whether or not that's going to that's going to prove to be sort of tactically wise or sound, I guess that remains to be seen. Although it did get Cassie J's attention. You'd have to be the kind of person that would, essentially be like, okay, this makes look bad on the surface, but I think I want to dig deeper and find out what's going on.
Sure.
And,
I maybe to be as charitable as possible, because like again, I actually do like Paul, especially these days, a lot more than I did before. Maybe the weakness isn't necessarily because it's something that Paul was doing wrong. I won't say that I would levy that criticism on him. I think maybe the only real failing is Paul being far too charitable for basic mainstream people to really hear him, And it's like the old saying, you can't be subversive if you're not successful.
So Nick had a question. He wanted to ask us if we're going to be at Vid-con. Are you going to be going to Vid-con this year?
Oh, I am. Yeah. Me and Nick are going to do a show. We're going to do the YouTube Saints at Vid-con. Last thing I heard, me and Memory are going to Vid-con. We're rooming with Blair, and then next door to us is the Warskis and Mr. Repzion. So,
oh, nice.
Like just a shit ton of people that are all coming together. We're all going to hang out. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we're actually going to. Honey Badgers are going to be at Vid-con too. So, the Australia thing is something that we really feel is important, but we're going to California either way. So that's happening regardless, and I think it actually works out to where we're going to go to Australia for the ICMI and then go right from there to California for VidCon and then come.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. We're all going to have to go drink.
Yeah, I'm going to be fucking exhausted, but we got to do it. I mean, fuck this body. I only have one, but I'm going to use it up. Let's just take that out of the equation and look at it from a perspective of a person who is relatively notorious feminist, extremely popular on YouTube, suddenly decides, I want to talk to other people on the other side. I want to host debates, maybe even moderate them or whatever. Sure.
Well, okay. So the thing that I kept coming back to on it, and I was very, very, I had some skepticism about her intentions when I started talking to Blair. Skepticism. Trademark. And so, I was pretty worried about it. I'm like, I don't know about all this. I have some very serious concerns when it comes to Laci Green, for instance. And I went to her personal channel, and I looked at the videos, and I'm like, well, this is interesting, because I remember her channel being like really bad, like really, really full of really shitty videos. But most of this is all like sex ed stuff.
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me, I'm like, wait a minute, okay, it was on MTV News, Braless. So I went and I looked at MTV News and I looked at the Braless videos, and all of them were just fucking awful, just terrible. But then on Laci's channel, well, most of them are pretty reasonable. And I'm like, okay, well, that's strange. So I did some looking into it. And for instance, I don't know absolutely for sure about Braless, but I know Decoded was not written by Francesca Ramsey.
No, of course not.
It was written by somebody else. So yeah. I'm pretty sure. I haven't asked Laci about it, because honestly, me and Laci, when we talk about like movies.
Sure.
And we don't want to talk about feminism or any of that shit. Like I don't know. It just never comes up. I'm pretty sure that it was because it was written by somebody else, and it was forming the narrative of MTV News and whoever was the creative director of those shows. Then the other one that I was worried about was the DMCAs that were done.
Found out about roaming millennial, that kind of thing? Okay.
Roaming millennial and all of that. Found out 2 days ago that was all handled by a separate third-party company, and Laci had nothing to fucking do with it. So that again was like, okay, well, shit, I guess that's my main thing kind of taken away. I'm feeling a little kneecapped here. So what is their intentions? And I think Laci is starting to experience the same thing that a lot of us are experiencing, and it's kind of a weariness with an established societal trope that's been going on YouTube. I think that as a lot of people are getting burnt out on the constant barrage of social justice and responding to social justice, Laci's starting to see, actually I know this for a fact, Laci's starting to see how far social justice has gone from focusing specifically on the things that, feminism is designed for into things that feminism has nothing to do with. Mm-hmm. And it's gotten fucking nutty. And I think that's why she's come back and she's starting to listen to a lot more people. So I think I think a lot of people are missing something really important when they start talking about Laci. There's a lot of she needs to be held to task. She needs to answer for blank. She needs to do this. And in a perfect world, when you find something that somebody has done in the past that's reprehensible, it would be great to get the perfect answer that you're always looking for. But realistically, that's not really what you're ever going to get. It takes a lot for people, even humble people, to admit when they were wrong. Mm-hmm. It's a lot easier to coax somebody into seeing something different and at least considering it, And what's amazing right now, and this is what I think people are so short-sighted about. Think about it like this. Laci Green is not just a big feminist YouTuber. She is the biggest feminist YouTuber on the planet.
Yeah.
On the planet. Out of over 7 billion people on the planet, she is the single biggest, most prominent YouTube feminist. Now, if you can have Laci Green having an open dialogue with people that have contrary ideas to what people have perceived of her, that doesn't just open the door for an interesting conversation. It opens up a massive audience so that the things that are important to you, you can get heard more. Yep. So this is an amazing opportunity, whether or not, and it really honestly doesn't matter if Laci herself becomes red-pilled and turns into the perfect weapon against feminism or some shit like that. That doesn't matter. What matters is the same thing. You can't be subversive if you're not successful. So embrace the concept, don't drink the Kool-Aid or anything, of course, but embrace the concept and giving her a little bit of charity to open up the possibility costs nothing. Mm-hmm. It costs nothing, and the potential for gain is huge. So I think people should just I think they should just chill the fuck out and see what happens.